Are you looking to join Cycling Men of Leisure for one of our rides in 2025? We've got a few things on our schedule.
That's right. We'll be attending Big Bragg and also the Bourbon Country Burn.
Big Bragg is in Georgia and Bourbon Country Burn's in Kentucky. Both places are going to be absolutely beautiful. We're going to have teams for both of those events. If you're looking to join us on our team, just send us a message. We'll tell you what to do.
So come on out. It's going to be a good time.
Absolutely.
Well, it's time for Road Adventures with Cycling Men of Leisure, the podcast for cyclists who understand that riding is not just about getting to the destination, but the experience along the way. Now, here are the original Cycling Men of Leisure, Adam and Michael.
Hey, how you doing?
I am doing well. How about yourself, Adam?
Doing good. Just got back from vacation. Happy to be home. It's always good to go on vacation, but you know what? Sometimes it's perfectly fine to get home as well. So we went to the Fun and Sun, Florida, got to golf, and went to see Mickey and Minnie, and they're doing good.
They're doing good. Glad to hear it.
Well, listen, they sure know how to pick you up and shake you and take every penny from you. So
Scrooge McDuck is right there to pick up the change, huh?
You can picture him swimming in his pool right now, I'm sure. So, no, I just wanted to get together with you. I thought we could have a little bonus holiday show. We've picked up some listeners on our podcast, and I felt that we had some people out there who were listening, and we could throw something together for the holidays. So,
absolutely. I think we should. Considering we weren't planning on starting this until the 1st of January, and then things just kind of went out like they did, and we've done. This will be our 3rd episode this year, so this is cool. Yeah.
No, for
Merry
sure.
Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Happy holidays.
Everything. Happy everything. So, which is funny because we have one of the doorbells that you can change the ringtone, and they only allow it certain times of the year. And so my wife asked me tonight, have you changed the doorbell? And I said, no. And I looked, and they now give you a very ample list of different holiday themes that you may want to hear. So we chose Christmas. I mean, that's just us, but
so, for everybody, other people, then there's going to be like Hanukkah songs.
Yes.
Maybe
Hanukkah was there.
Kwanzaa, things like that.
Kwanzaa was there.
Okay.
That's absolutely correct.
I think you should shake it up. I think,
I should. Maybe like I'll switch it up when she has no idea. So when she's like, "Hey," because her niece and nephew are coming. Here, kids, push this. They're like, "What is that?" So,
happy Hanukkah, kids.
Hopefully, the family is doing well.
Yes, family's doing well.
And then, are they out for the spring break? Excuse me, sorry, but Christmas break soon.
Christmas break, yeah. I think just here in a couple of days they'll be out. Looking forward to it. So
nice. That'll be great. Spend some time with them. So, I thought what we could do, I mean, if you're okay with it, is kind of give a rundown of what our events were in 2022 and what we did, what's on the horizon. And if anyone's interested in joining Cycling Men of Leisure at any of these events, we could kind of just name off some events that we'll be at, and didn't know how you felt about that.
I think that's a great idea. 2022 was a huge year for us.
It sure
was. We were busy this year. I mean, we were on the road.
We were
on bicycles, and otherwise we were in the air. I mean, we had a very fun-filled and eventful year. So I think it'd be nice, because I quite honestly don't remember everything that we've done this year. So I think let's do a little recap of what did Cycling Men of Leisure do in 2022. Where were we at? What did we do?
Well, I've got good news. While you did the research for the last show, I did some research for this show. We started in Des Moines, Iowa, at the route announcement party for RAGBRAI.
Yes.
And if you don't know what RAGBRAI is, that is Register's annual Great Bike Ride Across Iowa. They're going to celebrate their 50th year this year. And a little spoiler alert, we will be there. But
yes.
So we went to the route announcement party, which was very interesting, and the bike expo, to be able to see all of the different vendors. And we had already chosen our vendor, but there was lots of vendors and people selling recumbent bikes and different things. So that was really interesting. And then the lovely Mrs. VIP, ever she's listening to this, the beautiful, intelligent, smart, wonderful Mrs. VIP, your Mrs. VIP bought a plane ticket for you to fly out to the great state of Michigan. And when she did, we went to Three Oaks, Michigan, to the Journeyman Distillery, which was, I was actually... I have lived in Michigan since 1997, and I had never been to Three Oaks. Which little history. They filmed the movie, I think Prancer there or something, a Christmas movie, and I really enjoyed the distillery. I just thought that was a really neat trip that we went on.
Yeah, it was interesting. It was on the other side of the state, so it was a couple-hour drive, but it was a very interesting tour. We had a good time. We had a good meal, and I'm typically they had a lot in their after their tour. They had a lot of tastings. I mean, just a lot on their tasting thing. It was almost overwhelming, but not typically a huge rye fan. But I did purchase a bottle of rye before I left because it was extremely good.
Oh yes, you got the Not a King rye. That's right. And then the next day, we ended up at the Henry Ford Museum.
Oh, yes.
Because there's not a lot to do in Michigan in the winter. So we decided, what can we do where it's warm and spacious? And that was...
You gave me two choices. You said we could go ice fishing or we could go to a museum. So immediately I'm thinking, I'm not going to sit in front of a hole in ice waiting for a fish to come along. So the museum was awesome. I mean, me being a history buff, I was blown away at just the variety of items that they had, all the presidential cars from a number of different presidents. I mean, it was incredible. The one thing that stuck out in my mind that I love the best, I think, they had a mock-up of like an original Holiday Inn motel room.
Yes. Yeah.
And the old sign, you know.
Yeah.
That was really cool.
No, that was really neat. I've been there many times living here, and different family and friends coming into town. We've been there, but we took a lot of time that day. And it's so overwhelming. There's so much to see at the Henry Ford Museum that it almost takes a couple trips to indulge it all. But yeah, that was really neat to see the block, cement block and
cinder
the room,
block walls,
cinder block. Yeah. Yep.
The old tin ashtrays and
yeah,
it was just classic. Loved it.
The shag carpet. So all I could think about when we saw that was planes, trains, and automobiles. So, but that was a great trip. I mean, it was good to get together, and then in April, I flew out to the great state of Missouri, went to visit your family and in Kansas, and we actually went to the Holiday Distillery and did the tour.
Oh, yes.
Now, interestingly enough, when we were there, they did not actually sell the bourbon, so we did get to taste it. We got to go to the tour, and anyone doesn't know, Holiday stopped distilling spirits for some time, and they're now distilling. But they had just had coming of age some of the barrels that had been, aging for a long time and available for us to taste, but there wasn't a lot for us to actually, nothing to purchase.
Right.
And so I was kind of like, hey, this is kind of weird. I've never been to a distillery where I couldn't purchase what we're here to look at.
It's like being
before.
a Jack Daniels, actually.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll get to that in a little bit, but so that was kind of our trip in April, where we were kind of just planning. We did a lot of planning for Big Bragg at that time. We kind of decided at that time we were going to drive, we were going to fly, and then we ended up buying plane tickets when I was visiting you in April, and we decided to fly, and so that was interesting.
Whole different experience.
Absolutely. I mean, packing up, and we'll get to that in another episode, but packing up the bike was interesting, and
Putting together the bike.
putting together. Thankfully, the lady was very nice to us at the Bonvoy Hotel, Marriott Hotel that we landed
Kind of turned
at.
our room into a mechanic shop, so it was fun.
We sure did. So that was a great trip because you and I met in Atlanta and flew into Brunswick. But before that, we stopped at the Delta Sky Club, as any two respectable men of leisure should.
Absolutely.
And we got, let's just say, coffee, bourbons to go, coffee to go.
It was coffee.
It was coffee. That's right.
As far as we know, except for that other guy sitting in first class.
But then we ended up doing the Big Brag, which was just a really, really, really neat ride. I didn't know what to expect. I had only, hate to admit this, but I'd only been to Georgia before in the Atlanta airport that I know of. I mean, I don't remember being there before, but it was really interesting because for me, Big Brag had a one-night layover. And you and I have
That was weird.
It was. I mean, you and I have done so many rides where there's no such thing as a layover.
And I shouldn't say that is weird. It was different from what we were used to. And I remember when we first looked at it and we signed up, we were like, there's this layover. What's this layover about? And we didn't quite understand it. And I wouldn't say it's bad. I would just say it was different from what we were used to. And I mean, we had a good time on that layover. So I kind of did kind of throw a little bit of different atmosphere into the ride by having that layover.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. I mean, nothing negative by any means. I mean, once we had the layover, you and I decided, we had paid for indoor camping for this trip. Do we go with what they offered? And you and I decided to pull a Hail Mary, and we got a hotel in town, which was, nice to have a regular bed and a shower, and not sharing with 500 other of our favorite friends. But and you did us right by, you rented a car. You rented a very nice Audi, and we decided to head out to a distillery. Shocker, but
big surprise. Well, we weren't going to bike there, that's for sure.
No. Swamp Fox was Swamp Fox Distillery in Buena Vista. Yeah, Buena Vista, Georgia, and it was quite a ways away, but it was very interesting. It was now, correct me if I'm wrong, but it was in on the border of a dry county, but the city.
Yeah, there was something about it that the county was dry.
Yeah.
The city was wet.
Yes.
The interesting thing about Swamp Fox is apparently it sits right across the street. I won't say apparently, I was there. It does sit right across the street from the courthouse. So the courthouse, being county property, was dry. Right across the street at the distillery was wet. So, I mean, we could have, broke the law, grabbed a bottle, went across the street and, drank up on the courthouse lawn.
Yeah, except
we didn't.
No.
We had to wash clothes later that day, so we didn't want to spend time in jail.
Yeah, we did. We ended up at a laundromat, and we had a first class meal of Burger King, I think, is what we decided on. So, but interesting on the Big Brag, we met some wonderful people, and people who we hold near and dear to our hearts, and I'm really looking forward to seeing those. I say guys, I shouldn't say guys. All of them, men and women that we met, but wonderful people. But there is one thing.
The other thing I have to say about that is we did wind up and see many of those people at a later event, so that was kind of cool too. That
was cool, but also from that Big Brag trip, that we kind of have a special moment, and on June 9th. On June 9th, they had a party at a country club, a golf course. And we're like, hey, let's go see what this is all about. And so we packed up some cigars, and we're known to travel with our own bourbon. And we ended up, there was a band playing on the back of a golf course. We travel with our own bourbon? Well, we have been known to share some of that as well. So
we do. We share.
And so I just know that this picture I would like to remind you about is you and I took a picture on the golf course. We were at a picnic table, and on this picnic table is spread out of the Milwaukee Pack Out box that holds a bottle of bourbon that we carry with us.
Mm-hmm.
It had our cigar cutter and all of our cigar smoking paraphernalia. And you and I are enjoying some cigars. And at that moment, some people walked by and said,
"Oh, yes,
you guys are living it. You're living it up, aren't you?" And that's kind of where a little bit of all of this kind of started to come more and more together. So just wanted to let you know that.
I remember that. That was our first time where we've drank bourbon and we've smoked cigars after rides before, but it's always been back at our campsite. But we kind of took it on the road, and those people were going back and they're like, "Oh, you guys are living the life. You guys are real, real gentlemen, aren't you?" And that is kind of the actual, I will say, formation of Cycling Men of Leisure.
I would definitely agree. And I remember even the guys said, "You guys going to ride your bikes tomorrow?" And we're like, "Well, yeah. And we're going to do this again tomorrow night." So, but I just wanted to remind you of that. That was,
that was good.
I won't lie. I had to go back to my iPhone and cheat to find out the date and time and location. But, it was June the 9th. So, and then from there, we kind of started planting the seed because we had heard about the Bourbon Country Burn. And once we planted the seed, we then talked about it again once we got back to what is Ragbri 2022. And so that's we met in DeSoto, Wisconsin, and stayed there overnight just across the river in Lansing. And then we took the bus and headed to Sergeant Bluff. And so Sergeant Bluff to Lansing, and I can't say enough about Ragbri. I mean, we met some wonderful people, and it's always a great time. And I'm highly looking forward to this year. So,
it was going to be a good time.
An extravaganza blowout, it almost feels like. But so obviously, Ragbri was a wonderful time, and it always is. And then after that, you and I saw each other. You flew in to Detroit, and I picked you up, and we then headed out the next morning to Lansing, Michigan, where we rode to Mackinac City with Dalmac, the Dick Allen Lansing to Mackinac ride. So
going to Lansing again.
We're going to Lansing twice.
Woo!
But man, you know what I think about that ride? I mean, it was beautiful. I mean, once we got to like Petoskey and Torch Lake area and heading up the coast, I mean, that was beautiful. But it was cold. I mean, we had our jackets on, and
yeah, it was a little chillier than what we normally ride in. I mean, normally we're riding in July and that type of thing. So it was a little later. It was a little further north. So we kind of had to gear up a little more than usual, but beautiful ride, especially the last couple of days along the lake. Can't be beat.
No, that was definitely great. And the great thing about that is we had the gentleman who designed the Cycling Men of Leisure logo. He was riding with us, and he's a wonderful, talented artist. And his name is Brian, and we thank him. We kind of told him our plans, what we were thinking, what we were doing. And he said, "Guys, would you give me a whack at coming up with something? I would love to develop a logo for you guys." And we were like, "Yeah, sure." I mean,
absolutely.
We had these ideas, and I just love, by the way, what he came up with. So, every now and then Facebook gives me a hard time because they think I'm pushing alcohol, and then they reject something that I'm posting, and then I have to repost it because I like the whiskey glass with the fire. It just kind of really screams what you and I believe in.
Yeah.
But every now and then, the Zuckerberg.
We're not selling whiskey or bourbon or anything, Facebook, so relax.
Exactly. The Zuckerberg meta universe sometimes gives me a hard time, but if it is to be, it is up to me. So we'll prevail.
That's right. Make it happen.
So it was at that time that you and I then started really coming up with the plans and securing some websites and securing some social media sites. And then, of course, you and I knew, but we were securing everything for this podcast and kind of coming up with some ideas and some plans. and all of that was coming together at the same time we were packing for Bourbon Country Burn,
Yes.
where you and I got to see each other again. And before that, we threw in a Hail Mary to one of our favorite bourbon whiskeys, which is Woodford, and we decided to go to Woodford.
We met actually at the distillery.
We sure
did before the ride, before going out to the Kentucky Horse Park. We met at Woodford's. We didn't do the tour, but we did go to the gift shop and went to their tasting room and had an old fashioned, and beautiful place. Loved it.
No better way to see your good friend and start a wonderful new trip off with an old fashioned. So we were tempted to have some more, but we had a little bit of a drive to get to the Kentucky Horse Park, so we said, we'll wait. But I'm sure everybody can imagine that we don't travel lightly, so we had one when we got there too. So, but and Bourbon Country Burn for me was just a beautiful ride. We actually did a show about it, which can be heard a little bit later, and what an interesting time. And we did VIP tastings.
Mm-hmm.
We got to see some of the most beautiful horse country and ride through it. The white picket fences, those double fences, and piece of property where you drive down the road. We didn't drive, but we rode down the road, and here you had double white picket fences, and just absolutely beautiful.
Rolling hills, beautiful. It was fantastic.
And the weather was, I mean, we wore our jackets one day there as well, but a little bit more to be expected because that was in October, end of September, beginning of October. But we were able to do some VIP tastings. We did some with Lux Row. We did some with Maker's Mark.
Buffalo Trace,
where we were lucky enough to meet Freddie Johnson the third. If anyone doesn't know who Freddie Johnson is, Freddie's dad rolled off the 6 millionth barrel of Buffalo Trace. And you can actually see all that in a program called Neat, and you can usually catch it on Amazon Prime. But Freddie is the gentleman who's in that program, and he is now the ambassador for Buffalo Trace. He is Freddie Johnson III. We did a VIP tasting where Phil Talks Whiskey was able to get him to come and present some tastings and some stories, and his stories
incredible.
Absolutely. I don't care who you are. You're tearing up by the time he's done and feeling like you should be just and sharing more and more with people and being a better human being. And you and I were able to not only take a picture with him, but we actually got his autograph on some of his root beer.
Yes. Ironically enough, we got, his signature, not on a bottle of bourbon or anything, but on a bottle of root beer. And named in his honor, by the way.
Named in his honor because of what he's doing is trying to resurrect a cemetery and not just resurrect a cemetery, but give a proper burial to everybody in the cemetery, which grew a little bit beyond. He felt guilty by asking Buffalo Trace for a donation, and Buffalo Trace was like, "You're our man. You're our ambassador. We're happy to help you." And so to do that, the root beer was made, and I think $1 of every 6-pack or something goes to his organization. So. And then at the end of that trip, you and I ended up at another distillery, wouldn't you know it?
Castle and Key,
which was really cool. I mean, it was the old E.H. Taylor distillery, and the history that place could tell, and I mean, it was really neat just to be on the grounds. And of course, you and I were kind of like, all right, well, this is the end of our journey. And both of us weren't really looking forward to getting back in a car for many hours. But I'm really glad that we went there and saw that. I mean, and
just the building itself. And for those that don't know, I would suggest you go and you look up Castle and Key Distillery or the Old Taylor Distillery. Yeah. It literally looks like an old English castle. Yep. I mean, the building is just incredibly beautiful, and the history of Old Taylor is just phenomenal. What used to go on there, and I'm really glad another company came in and has taken it over and started actively distilling there again. That's just cool.
On behalf of Adam
and Michael,
we both want to say thank you
for your support.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, it's a really really cool, the history, part of everything that Kentucky has to offer, and part of some of the bourbon, folklore and everything. I mean, it's just amazing. So not folklore, but just a history. And then you and I got together in November, sir. We did some podcast recording, and we actually went to Rieger's Distillery and
Kansas City, Missouri.
In Kansas City, Missouri, and had what I learned at the time. I didn't even realize it was legally a thing, but Kansas City style whiskey. They had to go to court for it. They actually got it proven that it is a different type of whiskey, and the reason why it is they mix it with sherry, very light, depending on some of the other. There's not just Rieger's that does this, by the way, but it is an official style of whiskey, which is Kansas City whiskey, which was really
aged in sherry barrels.
Interesting. I mean, just the fact that they did that. You and I have been to Rieger's many times, but we actually recorded a show there, which can be heard at a later date, which is, I'm excited to release that one. I don't know how people who record movies, I don't know how actors and actresses who record movies 2 years ago, like, oh, this was filmed in 2020 but not released until 2022. I don't know how they sit on it. I mean, I can't wait for everyone to hear our Rieger show. That was just a really interesting time and a great show that we recorded. So and
we took the tour there too, so we had a lot of interesting information as well.
But that was the first time that we had actually taken the tour. And then the next day, we were lucky enough to go to Weston, Missouri, and we actually went back to the Holiday Distillery. But why did we go back?
Well, we needed to get you a bottle of holiday bourbon.
We did, because it's very difficult to go to a distillery, go through the process, not support the distillery, first of all. And second of all, of course, I wanted to add it to my ever-growing collection for consumption.
Obsession.
Okay, obsession, collection. I mean, call it what you will, but I needed to bring some back to the great state of Michigan. So, and it is now here, right behind me. So
I see it, right there. It's there.
But ironically, they actually had this was not planned, but they had a whiskey and cigar expo, whiskey tasting and cigar expo at the old tobacco. I don't want to say shop, but was it a plant or?
I believe that was the warehouse.
Yes,
because it was right next to the railroad tracks. Is where they used to bring the tobacco down and then load it up on railroad cars back in the day.
Which was really neat. I mean, this was unplanned. I mean, it's right up our alley. It had all kinds of distilleries and whiskey and different items that you could try. It had a lot of the cigar manufacturers had the representatives there on site where you could purchase a cigar. And then they had the gentleman playing music, he was extremely talented.
He was good.
And if it wasn't just him, if there was more than him, I'm not sure. I don't want to misquote that, but the gentleman that we saw was definitely good. So if there was someone before him, I apologize, but you and I had been down in the cigar shop and learning a little bit about some of the manufacturers. And so by the time we got up, the gentleman that was playing for sure was good. It was
a good event.
It was definitely interesting. A lot of guys, we actually wore some Cycling Men of Leisure swag on us and got a lot of questions from some of the people. What is it about? We were able to talk about and everybody was just super excited and said, when does the podcast come out? And we had said that we were kind of recording, and we actually had a sound device with us that day and recorded some stuff. So that'll come out at a later time. But and that's pretty much 2022. I mean, that's what I've got written down here.
Told you it was a busy year. Busy year. It was
a great year. I mean, couldn't have asked for a better time. I mean, especially to kick off what we are now doing here with the podcast. And if you would ask me January 1st of 2022, would I be doing a podcast in December of 2022? I would have said, podcasting was not in not in the realm, but
here we are.
yeah, and a lot of people who supported us to get here, and I appreciate each and every one of those if they're listening to this.
Absolutely.
So, but what I really wanted to do is we've got some traction. We've got some people interested in what is Cycling Men of Leisure all about, and when we're going to be somewhere, and how could they join us. And I would love to go with what we've got on the schedule for 2023 so far.
Well, what do we have on the schedule for 2023?
Well,
it's going to be just as busy as 2022, isn't it?
it's gonna be pretty busy.
Don't tell my wife, okay?
I won't tell her. And Chastity, if you're listening to this, now is a good time to push pause. Thank you. Have a good day.
You've listened to enough of it. We're good.
That's right. That's right. So here's what we got so far in 2023. We have the RAGBRAI 50th or RAGBRAI L route announcement party that we're going to be going to, and of course recording podcast in Des Moines, Iowa. Which a little side note there, I'm excited to announce that the ride director of RAGBRAI has agreed to do an interview with us, and we'll be doing that a little bit after the first of the year, and really excited to do that. Cool. And then what we're going to do is we're going to end up, I'm sure we'll pull something off in between, but we will definitely be going to what is Bragg's Spring Tune-Up. That is the April 13th to the 16th. This is an interesting concept, which we kind of like. You and I kind of like this. Almost like Bourbon Country Burn, where you set up once, you ride out and back to camp, and then so you're only setting up your camp once. And we're doing that with some of the people that we've met at Bragg before, which I'm real excited to see our
That'll
friends.
Be fun. Yep.
Oh, absolutely. And then from there, we're going to piggyback off that, and we're actually going to do the Big Bragg, which, by the way,
bike right across Georgia.
Again. They are going to announce their route New Year's Day at like midnight, or I never know if it's 1 o'clock Eastern or 12 o'clock Central. I'm not sure, but at midnight.
It's Eastern. If it whatever state it's in, they go off of that. It's really not difficult.
Oh, I'm always confused. But
Georgia's in Eastern, it'll be Eastern time. Iowa is in Central, it'll be Central time. Never mind. It's not rocket science.
Yeah, I know, but last year I stayed up till midnight waiting to watch the route announcement, and I don't think it was exactly at midnight. So,
well, you were staying up because it was New Year's. You want to celebrate the New Year's.
I think my wife worked, and I was really just waiting for the route announcement. So, but I think this year she's got it off, and there's a big Michigan football game that day, so I'll definitely be watching that. So,
by the way.
Yes, sir.
Not to make you feel jealous or anything, but I believe the wife and I will be spending New Year's at Rieger's.
Oh, I am jealous, but I'm happy.
We'll take
for you
lots
at the
of
same
pictures.
Time.
Yeah, I'll have an old fashioned for you.
I hope to be celebrating my wonderful Michigan Wolverines and having a few old fashions myself. So that's cool. I'm happy for you. I didn't know you were doing that.
We got tickets the other day, so
that's awesome.
Yeah,
that is. But of course, after the Big Bragg, we're definitely gonna be there, and we're looking forward to that. I mean, that was a great ride. We're gonna go to the 50th anniversary of RAGBRAI, Register's annual Great Bike Ride across Iowa. Now, tentatively, we're looking at maybe trying to look at Dalmac. Dalmac was a Dick Allen, Lansing to Mackinac. Depends on both of our schedules. We're trying to see what we can do.
It'd be cool if we could do that one again.
It would be. But what is on our schedule, September 29th through October 1st, is the Bourbon Country Burn again.
Oh, yes.
So that is what looks like what we're doing for 2023. If anyone's interested in joining us or finding out who we actually are in person, which we highly welcome. So
absolutely. Come out, say hello. And actually, I think during those longer rides, I think we will set up some like meet and greet or something some night at a particular location, and anybody who wants to come down and just kick back and relax and enjoy some stories and share some beverages or whatever can certainly do that. So I think that would be fun. One thing you didn't mention is I believe you and I are going to be in Florida in January. And I believe our wives are going to be with us. And I believe, if I am correct, we're going to do a little podcasting with the wives and find out, what they think about us riding our bikes across states and doing podcasts and all the other stuff that we do.
You're absolutely right. I kind of I forgot that part, but yes, we will be there, and I love the idea of doing a show with the wives, because a lot of questions that we get is, what do your wives think about that you're gone, or do your wives care that you're
Spoiler alert, they think we're idiots.
Yes. Yeah, I think, I don't know for sure. I don't want to give it away, but I think my wife would say, if the house is good and there's nothing wrong, see ya. But I imagine if like the one year I was at Ragbri, I had the fridge delivered and stuff. So I'm sure she was.
We watched it through the Ring, the Ring doorbell. We watched them delivering the refrigerator there to your house. That was fun.
Special installer who ripped my water pipe out. So
good times.
Yeah. The next morning, my wife called me and she said, "There's water everywhere." I said, "What do you mean?" So I had to shut out the valve, but it was one of these valves where you have to push on the colander and the pipe would come right out. Guy didn't know that. He just grabbed a pair of pliers and ripped the pipe right. I could see the teeth marks on the plastic pipe when I got home. So, but yes, the joys of some of these rides when someone else is at my house.
Yeah. That'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to get their perspective. And I really want to make sure that they give their honest perspective. I don't want them to, I want them to give the real deal. What do they think about us, about what we do, why we do it?
Use both, idiots.
Yeah. I don't know what they're doing, but I'm going shopping.
That's right.
We're meeting up in Florida, taking a long weekend with the wives. Gonna have a good time, play some golf. And we're gonna record that thing with the ladies. We figured it would be better if we were all four there together and we could record it together. It'd be more fun. So I'm looking forward to that.
I'm glad you mentioned that. Besides that, as of right now, that's the only thing on the schedule that we got. I'm sure. Knowing you and I something will happen. We'll meet some. That's how we did Bourbon Country Burn. We met somebody and they told us about it and said, "Oh, you guys really ought to do it." And we're like, "Okay, great. We'll see if we can work it out." And I'm glad what we did. So
yeah. And what I think is going to be good is just another spoiler alert. We're now looking at 2023 already, kind of putting some ideas in motion, because I think we're going to completely shake up our schedule for 2024.
I would agree.
This next year, we're doing a lot of the same things that we've done before. But I think that following year, we're going to just shake it up and do lots of new and interesting things.
You're buying a motorcycle.
E-bike.
E-bike.
Actually, it's a 1984 Honda moped that's got the pedals on it.
Nice.
So it's not an e-bike, but I can pedal when I need to.
No, I know what you mean. We've talked about doing other things than Ragbri, and we're kind of putting some stuff together for that. So
maybe Nebraska, maybe Kansas. There's a couple good rides in Missouri. We've wanted to do Alabama. South Carolina has a really nice ride. So there's a lot of options. Ohio, which I know you're really looking forward to. So we've got a lot of options out there. So we're looking at expanding our horizons.
Hey, Adam, I need a Coke.
Sounds good. We'll be back after a quick break. I'll be nice. I'm sure Ohio would be wonderful to ride through. So, but as the rivalry, it's kind of difficult for me. But we're going to make the best of it. So
you won this year. Just take it and go.
Oh, I just want to be clear. We won 2 years in a row. So, and I just got back from vacation and I wore my one of my favorite T-shirts. And we'll just say that it was enjoyable to watch different people's faces, and the T-shirt says "Worst State Ever" and has the shape of Ohio. I had this lady come up to me and she said, I'm a Buckeye, but I agree with you. It's the worst state ever.
Now you realize the 54 people that listen to our podcast regularly from Ohio have just turned us off. Thank you. Appreciate that, Adam. Way to go.
Hey, just come on up north. We'll welcome you. And I'm just kidding. So, you know what? For 20 years, he smacked us around. Let me enjoy it for 2. So if I have to have the next 20 years of being smacked around, so
fair enough.
All good fun. I have family in Ohio, and just teasing. But
the other thing I did want to bring up is we have that contest that's ongoing.
Yeah, we do.
There's still time. There's a lot of time, actually. There
is. Guess the RAGBRAI route for 2023, the RAGBRAI 50th anniversary. If you're catching this podcast, it's a couple of shows before. And the first one talks about the contest. The second one actually breaks down, helps you guess what the route is probably going to be, or most likely going to be.
Well, no. It's not telling you what the route is probably going to be. I know what the route is probably going to be. We've already discussed that. I'm pretty confident in my guess. What we merely do. Go ahead, say it. I see you're about ready to say it. I'm just saying, we won't get into the fact that you haven't posted what you think the route's going to be because you're scared, but or as you call it, strategic, as I air quote that. But we don't tell what the route possibly could be. What I do is simply provide some statistical analysis of past routes to give you the listeners some idea of what they might want to guess.
Okay. Yeah. No, you did. Actually, you did. And you gave how many starting towns there were ever and how many ending towns there 14, were ever.
12.
And then you kind of helped guide. Now, the difficult part, of course, would be the overnight towns in between.
Everything in between.
That's right. That's right. It's like playing lottery. Well, you get 1 through 46, so good luck. So, but no, it was definitely well done. And I look forward. I actually, to be honest, I had meant to put my entry in before No, hold on.
Yeah.
I literally got back yesterday, and so
what you're gonna do is you're gonna go through the list and find out what people have put the most options on.
No,
and you're gonna play the statistics.
No,
and call it being strategic.
No
quotes.
No, actually, I promise you, I'm going to use the map in my office that you've seen many times. So that is my tool that I will use, and which is just as good as guess as any, I guess. So I think it would be cheating, especially you and I bet a bourbon on it, and I don't mind buying you a bourbon if I lose, but at least I want to hold my head up high that I actually played fairly. So no, I won't look at the predetermined answers. I promise you that. I'll give you my word. So.
You want me to give you a hint? Pick the starting town of Ottawa.
You always say it won't be. You say it won't be that.
No, so, pick that. I think that's solid.
Now, what about the people who say it's going to be like an L shape, like it's going to go from like the northwest down and then over? Like
now that would be cool, but I think highly impractical.
I think it'd be long.
Go ahead and pick that. Pick it. And I would choose the town of, I don't know, Lansing as our endpoint. Pick that one. Awana, Lansing. There's your thing. I'll put that in for you.
What kind of bourbon do you want? Just let me know now so I can pre-purchase it. So I'm just not really. I mean, contests have never been my thing. I've never been really good at it. I mean, I always like the 50th. Anyone doesn't know, for RAGBRAI, they were giving away 50 golden jerseys. I've yet to.
I didn't win.
No, me neither. And I've yet to see anyone who said they did win. So I would hoping someone would say, "Hey, I was one of the lucky people."
Because no one wants to brag that they won and everybody else lost.
That's true. But
I mean, that's just poor sportsmanship there. But anyway, I joke. I know you're going to give give it your good best try. And
Absolutely.
I look forward to seeing it. And we've had a lot of entries so far. I'm very impressed with the number of entries that we've had.
Yes.
And I've looked down through them. And honestly, I can say at this point in time, everybody has a really good shot.
That's awesome.
I mean, mine is the best, obviously, but I think everybody else is like right in there, pretty close. I'm just saying I would win, but I can't win, so someone else will win. But I think everybody who's entered is right now in a good running to do it. Stop shaking your head.
All right, fair enough. Fair. No, I mean, I'm glad that we are getting the people to not only enter, but we've had a few Facebook messages for some people who said this is really cool and think it's really neat that you're doing this. So I'm excited. I really hope that we get to actually meet the winner. I would love to meet the person and just say thanks for playing along, and thanks for here's your shirt and your hat, and hope to see you out at Ragbri. So,
well, what we should have done is need to be present to win.
Well, yeah.
Well, we're here at the starting town. You need to show up to get your prize.
Yeah. Good luck with that. With 15, 25, 50. But I mean, I'm seeing.
We're the two guys standing next to that, that tent down there in the main area. You'll find us. Don't worry about it.
I mean, depending what article you read, it could be up to 50,000 people. Or they're hoping to break world records. I'm like, why did I sign up for this? But I know why I did. I'm just kidding. But so cool. Well, that is 2022 in a nutshell. That's planning of 2023. I would, while you and I definitely have a sarcastic but wonderful friendship, I would love to say to you and your family, Merry Christmas, and of course a prosperous New Year. And I look forward to seeing where we can take this next year.
Absolutely.
And just didn't know if you had anything else to add, sir.
Well, I certainly hope you and Lauren have a wonderful holiday, and wish the best to your parents and all that. And, every day really is
a great day for a bike ride.
Exactly.
Thank you for coming along with Adam and Michael on Road Adventures with Cycling Men of Leisure. If you have enjoyed this, please subscribe to the show on the podcast app of your choice.
Hey, we just wanted to remind you that we've got some really cool products at our jersey and our swag store.
That's right. You can visit cyclingmenofleisure.com. At the top of the page, you'll find our stores page. Click there. There's 2 QR codes. The one on the left has a J on it. That's the store for the jerseys. The one on the right is just a swag store. Has all kinds of different items. Kind of customizable. You can kind of make the swag the way you want it. If the QR codes are giving you an issue, don't worry. Underneath, there's 2 buttons that you can click on. Thank you, and have a great day.